Well, welcome everyone to this wake-up call. We are so glad you are here. We are on chapter number 27 of the book, The Little Things Matter, and the title of this chapter is Make the Most of Meeting and Greeting. And I'm so excited to read this to you all today. We all know how important it is to make a good first impression when we meet people. Just a warm smile, a friendly demeanor, direct eye contact, and a firm handshake are important ingredients. And that's what we've been learning, guys, up into this chapter today. But so are the words we speak and the interest we show in introductions. He says, your greeting is important in all types of situations. Here are the different types of situations. When you greet someone who likely forgot your name, what do? Well, when I greet people I haven't seen for a while, I always take the initiative to introduce myself. Hi, Paul. I'm Todd Smith. How are you doing? If I don't remember someone's name, I introduce myself by sharing my name and hope they respond by sharing theirs. If people don't offer their name in the greeting, you could say, will you kindly remind me of your name? The next example, when you are introducing someone to another person. When you introduce someone to another person, be sure to include each person's name in the introduction. When someone introduces you to another person and does not include your name, what do? When the person introducing you doesn't include your name, it's likely they forgot it or don't know how to make a proper introduction. In this case, offer a warm greeting to the person you are meeting and be sure to include your first and last name. What do you do when you meet someone who doesn't tell you their name? And again, I hope you all know we've all been in these situations before, so I love it that he's giving his perspective on what we should and should not do. So when you meet someone who doesn't tell you their name, simply say, I didn't catch your name. After they respond, repeat their name back, such as, Bob, it's great meeting you. I think a lot of people get stumped here because we just freeze up and we freak out. And you know what? This is giving you permission to say, hey, I didn't catch your name. And the next thing, when you are not introduced, what do? I was with a friend in a restaurant recently, and a couple of his friends stopped by the table to say hi. He talked to them for a few minutes, but never introduced me. The proper etiquette in this circumstance would have been for him to introduce me to his friends. If others don't introduce you, introduce yourself when the opportunity presents itself. Everybody will feel more comfortable. What do you do when you encounter people you don't know? Have you ever gone to a dinner engagement or meeting and finding several strangers also in attendance? You stood there awkwardly, not knowing what you should do. If appropriate, be proactive and introduce yourself to each person in the room. This makes you stand out from the group as someone with confidence and puts everyone at ease. What do you do when you meet with people you do know? When you get together with a group of friends or business associates, immediately greet each person with a friendly greeting. As new people join the group, be the first one to show you care by greeting them. He says, my daughter Hannah calls this being like a dog. Dogs are always happy to see people and are the first ones to greet anyone. I absolutely love that. It made me smile so big when I read it. So what do you do when you meet with people, some you know and some you don't know? Always greet the people you do know. Don't wait to be introduced to the strangers. Take the initiative and introduce yourself to those people. Ask questions to open up the conversation and help them feel included. Now, what do you do when you greet a receptionist? Well, whether you are greeting the receptionist at your dentist's office or at the office of one of your clients, always introduce yourself with a smile and friendly tone. For instance, hi, my name is Dan White. I have a 4 o'clock appointment with Steve Johnson. If it's a business appointment, give the receptionist your business card along with your verbal introduction. And then he goes on to say, following these tips helps you make a positive first impression and enhances your existing relationships. You will be viewed as someone who is friendly and confident and someone who recognizes the value of making people feel comfortable. Following some of these recommendations may cause you to feel a little bit awkward at first, but the more you do them, the more comfortable you will feel. The way you meet and greet people shows them you care about them and tells them a lot about you.
Absolutely. And so I love this chapter, and I think it's, if you really grasp everything that we do on these wake-up calls, it's kind of something, that life mantra, at least for me, the little things are the big things, and the little things make such a big difference in life in everything that you do. And so when we read through this and we talked about it when Holli was just reading. I think many times in an introduction, and really in life and everything, people are so worried about what other people think about them. What do people think about me? What are they doing? And in a lot of those situations, maybe you don't remember a name, or someone didn't introduce you, or someone gets nervous and introduce half the people. In any of those circumstances and everything that was shared, I think there's just some simple steps that really apply to every situation. And it starts with kind of a word that we always share. I think this goes right along with kind of that dress for success that we talked about the last time. It's kind of that first impression, and it really goes with authenticity. And so what are the little things? I think it's just in all of those situations, it's just being polite. Please and thank you just go such a long way in so many things. And it's really taking initiative, right? Not being so worried about, oh my gosh, what will people think about me? What about this situation? It's just taking an initiative, introducing yourself. It's not being overbearing, or there's a big difference, but it's just being friendly and comfortable. And when you are your authentic self, it gives people permission just to kind of be their authentic self. This happened to me just the other day when I was at Walmart. I saw a guy and I knew his face, and I just couldn't remember his name. He'd grown a beard. He was a whole lot older. It'd been a long time since I'd seen him, and I just said, man, I recognize your face, but I just can't remember your name. And then he told me, and we talked. But it's really just kind of taking that uncomfortable moment and taking initiative, because he was, just as uncomfortable, because he remembered my name, and he kind of knew by my body language that I didn't remember and wasn't placing him. So it's a really kind of simple thing, but it goes down to kind of taking initiative, introducing yourself, and being authentic. And I think one of the most important things kind of as we go through that is just when using people's names, right? And remembering people's names. And I remember, you might say, gosh, I'm not very good with names. And I used to always say that. And, someone said, why you're not very good at names? And I said, well, yeah, tell me the secret. And he said, well, because you go around telling everybody you're not good at names, and you use it as an excuse to not be good at names. So, ever since then, I've just been very intentional, right? When you are doing an introduction to use their name, right? They'll say, hey, I'm Jamie, and then use their name, back to them. And something that we teach the boys that's, as a man is very, very important, is just to shake hands, make eye contact, like a dead fish, but, man's handshake, and just to really take that initiative in an authentic, in a friendly, and a comfortable way. And it really just is kind of, taking control when, many folks are just worried, and so self-conscious about, what are other people thinking? And so it's just little things, not to be overbearing, not to be, somebody that you're not to be fake, not to take over the situation, but just really, I always think it just kind of lets everybody off the hook. If someone steps in and says, hey, and does the introduction, has a smile, does a little thing, shakes hands, it lets everybody kind of then off the hook. Everybody can be comfortable, and then people will take the time to introduce themselves, and kind of so on when they feel comfortable. So that was just my take, and I think it's a everyday thing in these calls. It's just the little things are the big things, and you just have to really truly grasp there's so many little things that make such a big difference. And I think the most important thing about that is just a smile and just being friendly.
I love that, Jamie, and I love your perspective on that. And here's what I know that I know that I know. Every one of us on this phone call, and I believe everyone in general, wants to feel important. all of us want to feel important. Everyone wants to feel like they matter. And I think a greeting really is the foundation of all of our social interactions that we have. And, they really truly do serve as that very first impression that we make on others. But I think more importantly, it sets the tone for any kind of further communication that you have with that person. So one thing I learned a really long time ago, and it's honestly because I have a hearing disability, so I am 90% deaf in my left ear and 75% deaf in my right ear. And all growing up, I had to learn to really pay attention to people's body language and their social cues. And I didn't have my hearing aids until about 10 years ago because they didn't make the certain kind that I needed for my disability. And a lot of people, when I share that with them, they're very shocked by that. They're like, well, we would have never known that because you don't have, any kind of a different inflection in your voice. But if you spent time with me, you will probably know I really have to pay attention to you. I pay attention to your face. I look right in your face because oftentimes I'm reading lips. And so at a very young age, I learned that it's okay to say, I'm so sorry I didn't hear you. So for me, this greeting part, because I was raised in such a way that, your disability doesn't define you, it actually, in a lot of ways, I'm so thankful that God had made me this way because it's allowed me to really be a connector with people. And I'm so thankful and appreciative of that. But I learned at a really young age by doing these things and really having to pay attention to others and, being, I don't want to say being bold because for me it's not. That is just kind of what I've always done. But not being afraid to say, I'm so sorry I didn't catch your name. What was that that you said, right? And everyone, I learned this really young. Treat everyone as if they are wearing a sticker on their forehead that says, make me feel important. And that just has stuck with me for 30-some years now. Make me feel important. So every time I'm with someone, I don't care if it's someone I've known my whole life. I don't care if it's someone I just met in the past 5 minutes. That's always running through my brain. Make them feel important. And one of those ways is by remembering their names and repeating their names in a conversation. It really does make people feel appreciated. And calling somebody by their name really does establish a personal connection. And you can learn how to become a great social connector by doing this. I also want to share my thoughts on the consequences of not doing this. What's going to happen? And you might think, what's the big deal? Nobody cares. And I would just caution you of that, because if you don't learn to get better at this, then the consequences will make you seem like you're impolite or indifferent or you just don't care. Have you ever been with someone and you just know you're talking to them, but they're looking around to see who the next person it is that they can talk to in a room full of people? That is one of my biggest pet peeves. That drives me insane. It's basically the person telling me that I'm talking to, you're not important enough and I need to look for someone else to have a conversation with. So if you do that, I would encourage you to please, please, please stop that. Please stop that. Make eye contact with the person you're talking to. Don't be looking around for, who else walks in the room that's going to give you a better conversation. And I believe Cindy had shared, same thing with your phone. Put your phone down. Be there. Be all there wherever you are. And the consequences, it just creates a negative impression on others. And here's the thing. You're going to miss out on opportunities to create positive connections with people if you don't do this. And you know what? You never know where those connections will lead. So just be there wherever you're at, and don't be afraid to say, you know what, I'm so sorry I didn't catch your name. Could you repeat that for me? Just like Jamie did at Walmart the other day. And as we wrap up, remember the little things are the big things. Little things matter, and this is a little thing that can definitely make a big, huge impact in your life. So thank you so much for joining us. Jamie will unmute the lines. We love you. Go out and win the day today, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow morning. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. God bless y'all. Love y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm learning now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.